So in this tutorial, we're going to make vignette effect, and we're going to have it follow the face around, depending on where it is in the frame. And you'll notice I also eye openness, so if you squint, the hole gets tiny, and if you raise your eyebrows, it gets. The patch graph looks kind of crazy at first, but really there's not too much going on. There's a little bit of script, but you can pretty much just copy and paste it. So project files for this will be on GitHub. If you want to download them, click this button. If you have a couple of bucks, I wouldn't mind if you would become a sponsor. You can do it for as little as $1 a month, and it'll help me continue making Spark tutorials. My goal is to split my time 50% on open source and 50% on client work. So if you do that, that'll help me out. Okay, so where to start? I guess I'll kind of poke around at the patch graph and like explain a little bit of what's happening, and then I'm gonna delete everything and make it from scratch. So if you're not familiar, this is a face finder. All this is doing is getting the eye openness amount and smoothing it out so it's like a smooth transition, and then constraining the range to some numbers that work for our vignette. And then this is coming from script. This is the face position on the screen. So we offset that and then feed it into a transform pack. And that is what is making it follow my face. And then after that, this, I don't know if we'll do that in the actual tutorial, but if there's no face, it just shows black. Might skip that. And then just some pretty simple post-processing, like effects to give it the like grayscale, retro, vintage, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so that's it. Try to delete most of this stuff. Yeah, why not? Get rid of everything. Okay, so if that bugs out. Cool. Did. Okay, so the actual setup here is pretty simple. Just a canvas with a rect in it. That's filling the screen, and then a face tracker. You'll notice we don't actually have a face mesh in there because we don't care about displaying the face. We just want the tracking data that comes with it. So we're going to throw that in. That's going to give us our face stuff. I'm just going to kind of start throwing in the stuff that we need to start building. So I'm going to open up the script and just show you what's in there, just so you can see it. I actually got this from Hammond or Hammond, I don't know. He made this pretty cool project. The camera will like follow your nose and like keep it stabilized. It's pretty goofy, worth checking out. But in that project, he translates the face into like the camera space. So the target that he's using is the nose tip. So if you not set up anymore. But yeah, this basically gives you the UV, which is the X and Y of the face on the screen. So you can just like copy and paste this, and that works fine. Just a side note, I tried doing this with the face tracking 2D module, but it appears to be broken. So maybe one day that will work again, but for now we have to do this like camera transform stuff. But that works. So, and actually this is a little bit more flexible because you can change like where the center point is. So like you can use an eye or a mouth, probably chin too, makes sense. But yeah. So when you copy that into your project, that's all well and good, but you're going to need to add this from script variable. So you just click the button, and it's actually a vector 3, but we're only using 2 of them, so I guess it doesn't care. And then name it face 2D because the script will reference that here. Okay, done with the script. Now what? I'm just going to take this rectangle and then we're going to use that texture. We're going to pipe that in too. And right now it's just white, and then the opacity is set. So first things first, we're going to make our vignette. So we're going to use SDF circle and set the radius to 0 so it's like smooth. I can never remember exactly how to do this, but playing around with it, we'll get there eventually. So I think we need to, oh no, okay. So between this, we need a smooth step. And then let's see if that's right. Yeah, okay, so kind of right. You can see that the vignette is there, but it's white and it's like pretty big. So if you want to tweak these numbers, you can hold down the Alt key and see your vignette get size changed. So 0.5 looks to be like it's filling the screen, so that's what we want. So how do we make this black? 0, 0? Okay, so we're going to pack this into vector 4. We can control the color because this is basically just one value. So I guess it assumes it's white. I don't know. But if we manually do this and put that in an alpha and then 0, 0, 0 for RGB, that's going to be black. And we get black. So, I mean, that's the vignette. If you just want a vignette, that's cool. You'll notice that it's not circular, though. It's like kind of expanding to fill the available space. And that's because textures are usually square. So I'm actually going to add another rectangle just to show you guys like how the textures are working. So if we assign this material, you'll see that texture is square. But when you stretch it out to fill the screen, it'll get distorted. So to counteract that, you want to get the device. And then we're going to figure out what the ratio of the screen is. So we can do kind of the opposite stretching. So we can like make it back into the original square shape. So you take screen size, and that's going to be a vector 2. So we're going to unpack it. That'll give us the width and the height. And to get the aspect ratio, we're going to do divide. So you just divide width by the height. And that'll give you one number, of course. So I think that's right. And then what do we do with this? So we're going to need to, we have this texture, so we're going to need a texture transform. And that will allow us to apply the scaling to it. So texture transform, you need the texture, and then you need a 2D transform pack. So without actually connecting this to anything, you can play with these numbers. Not doing anything. Okay, I didn't connect it. So if you play with these numbers, that'll give you a feel for kind of, I don't know, how it behaves. You'll notice that scale by default like goes to the left, and that's because the pivot is in the top left. So I don't know why this isn't default, because I end up typing these numbers in every time. But if you want the pivot to be right in the center, that's 0.5. And so now when I do this, it will scale down to this. So we want something like that, like circular. But this number is going to come from our aspect ratio that we got up here. Yeah, so maybe it's a little big. So we can always take a multiply. Make it smaller. Okay, so Vignette's pretty cool. If you're just gonna have it like as a subtle camera effect, maybe you want it like that, so it's not too in your face. But for our case, we want to have it follow the face around, be like very noticeable. So we'll keep it small. And to do that, we're going to take the face position and use it in this translation. So it's going to move the circle left, right, up, down. So that's actually a vector 3. So we're going to swizzle. So we only care about X and Y. I think we just plug this in. Sort of. Almost there. So you can see when my head's in the top left, roughly, the circle's in the middle of the screen. So what we have to do is offset it half on the x-axis and then half on the y-axis. So that's pretty easy. I'm going to subtract half. And now it's falling on my face. That's pretty cool. I guess we can hook this up. So on my eyebrows to control the size. So I guess instead of having this multiply, or this static value, we're gonna get that scale value from the eyelid. So grab an eyelid. You'll notice that it's got a ton of outputs, but we only really care about the openness. So it doesn't give you like an average by default. You have to do that yourself. So if like one eye is like that and the other one's wider, we want the average. So to do that, you could do it with like addition and like division. But there's a patch that kind of does that already for us, and it's the mix. Where's my okay, mix. So we're gonna get left openness, right openness, and this alpha value is just gonna be like a slider. So if we want a mix that's like cut down the middle, just tell it 0.5. So it's going to average these two values. And then maybe, oh yeah, okay. We can try plugging that in and just see what that does. So you'll notice it's like pretty jumpy. I guess the values are a little indecisive sometimes. So if you want to smooth that out, that's also pretty easy. Exponential smoothing will do that for you. That's way better. Like no jumping. Nice. So that's the eyelids. Move that, I don't know, down here. If you didn't know about this little arrow, it's pretty convenient just for like keeping your stuff organized, because like you really don't care about anything except for these two things that we're using. So keep your stuff looking tight. It's just easier to read that way. But I do want to say, like, you don't always need to do that, because like maybe you want to be able to glance at something and like know what these values are. So like mix could be doing anything. That's good to leave some stuff open too. So that was pretty quick. What else? So all these kind of camera effects that we can apply. So if we want to make an effect on like the background, we can do that with the camera texture. You could probably do it with like multiple rectangles, but you don't really need to. There's this pretty cool patch called Blend, and it works just like if you're familiar with Photoshop, it's just like Photoshop layers. So by default, normal blending is like a normal layer, but it's also got all these cool like blend modes you can play around with. So this is actually going to be the bottom layer, and then the vignette's going to go on top. So destination is bottom, and source is going to be the top. You plug in stuff, nothing changes, except it did, because now I wonder if you can see the difference. Yeah, so you'll notice that this is like alpha, and now it's like solid. So we're actually taking that camera texture and then sandwiching it with the vignette. So before this texture gets there, we can add all kinds of goodies to it. So this is going to be kind of arbitrary stack of stuff. My goal is to make it look kind of like vintage. A lot of those old photos had like strong vignettes on them. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. So plug in the defaults. That's pretty crazy. A little bit too much. Hey, that's pretty nice. Maybe a little less contrast. Maybe try less exposure. It's pretty balanced. It didn't look like the original one that I had. I think that was more washed out, but that's looking good. So this is a radial effect. So kind of we're pretty much done with the actual like tutorial, but I just wanted to throw in some bonus stuff. Chromatic-aberration is pretty popular. This patched by Kuno Hayato. And then this is a barrel-distortion patch that I wrote. So they're both radial effects, so I think they'll work like pretty well with this kind of effect. You'll notice that barrel distortion also has a center point, just like the center point we got from here. So we're going to use this to control like where the barrel distortion is on the screen. so it'll like follow your head around. So I think that'll be cool. Type the texture in, and then maybe we can just plug that in and it'll work. Let's see. Okay, that's doing something. I think there's like a ghosting. Can't tell. I guess that is working. No. I think it's like offset. Maybe we'll try without the subtraction. There we go. Yeah. Lower that quite a bit. So now this is just like a subtle barrel distortion, but I think, you know, you don't need to go crazy with it. Like still noticeable. And of course you can tie the strength to the eyelids too. So let's try that. Why not? Oops. What? So this is a good way just to like be able to patch things together that are like far away. Just put it into a value. And then you can name it just to remember what it is, where it's coming from. But I'm not going to do that. So this is another cool trick. Eyelid openness goes from 0 to 1. So if we want to map that to like a different range, so like if we want barrel distortion to be from like 1 to 1.3, you can use the 2 range. This thing keeps not popping up. 2 range. Put that in, and then you set your minimum, and then you set your maximum. And then we pipe that in strength. But, oh, I took it from the wrong place, so it won't be smoothed. So, I mean, this is all like pretty goofy, but the concepts that matter. And then, I don't know, why not throw in chromatic aberration too? See what that does. Let's see, center, value. Can't really tell if that's doing anything. Oh, I didn't. Duh. Put that back down. You have to connect your outputs. That's pretty cool. I'm just going to crank these a little bit so you can see. So that's a little extreme. But yeah, that's the power of circles, man. So I hope you liked it. Hit subscribe on YouTube if you want to see more, and give me a sponsorship on GitHub. Be awesome. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.